welcome to HITC Sport. Right, let's take a look at every Premier League club and the worst individual player performance that your fans have ever witnessed. And Paul McShane is lucky that all his clubs have been fucking relegated. Arsenal, Emmanuel Eboue versus Wigan. Back in December 2008, Arsenal beat Wigan 1-0, with Emmanuel Eboue having one of the worst days known to man. Having come on as a sub after half an hour, he chucked the ball away every time he got it, started tackling his own players. He was having the sort of day where he'd probably burn down his house trying to make a bowl of cereal. So when he was taken off and sent to the bench crying like a little girl, the Arsenal fans responded and cheered as if they'd scored a goddamn goal. Lads, are ye perfect, eh? Have none of ye made a mistake in your lives? Because I've seen AFTV. Some of you look like you were created in a fucking lab. Bournemouth, Simon Francis versus Everton. Well, this one is pretty simple. February 2017, Bournemouth travelled to Everton and were 3-0 down at half time, with Romelu Lukaku turning the likes of Simon Francis into a bowl of wet cabbage. Taking him off at half time was a no-brainer. Didn't really make much of a difference though. I mean, they still lost 6-3. Brighton, Shane Duffy versus Bournemouth. Was this even a performance? Like, I have not forgiven this man. He was in my goddamn fantasy league team for this game because I was stupid enough to think that Brighton might actually keep a goddamn clean sheet at home. Not only did they not keep a clean sheet, they pissed right through to the mattress. 5-0 loss at home to Bournemouth. What the f***? But it's my own fault, lads. That's what I get for having faith in you. That was just unnecessarily harsh. Burnley, Leon Court versus Man City. Do any of you remember Leon Court? I mean, why should you? The man was a walking disaster. He's actually half brothers with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Wouldn't be surprised if he was related to Titus f***ing Bramble. Anyway, he was playing centre half at Burnley at home to Man City in April 2010. After 7 minutes of the game, it was 3-0. After 20 minutes, 4-0. At half time, this lot were getting beaten by 5 fucking goals and went on to lose 6-1 at home to a team of Nedum and Craig Bellamy. I'm guessing Court probably spent that evening handing out job applications down the local Burger King. Chelsea, Marcos Alonso versus Man City. This was just horrific. Remember that time Marcos Alonso was actually supposed to be not only a top left back, but an actual footballer. Nowadays it looks like clearing the ball is about as much a struggle for him as it is for Jerry Mikhail to walk past someone in a tracksuit and not scream in their face. Even obeying the laws of offside seem a foreign concept to this man, much like his understanding of the rules of the road. Turning up at the Etihad in February, he turned in a performance that would have made a nun swear, with Raheem Sterling twisting his career into a rusty sock. Crystal Palace, Christian Benteke versus Bournemouth. To be honest, lads, I could have had an entire back catalogue of Christian Benteke performances. The man has looked about as dangerous as a tree stump. But how about December 2017? It's 2-2 with Bournemouth, and Palace are awarded a last-minute penalty. Score this, and they finally drag themselves not only off the foot of the table, but out of the relegation zone. So naturally, you'd give it to Luka Milojevic. I mean, he's one of the best penalty takers in the league. He'd already scored a spot kick in this game already. But no, Christian Benteke steals it and misses it. I'm guessing Roy Hodgson then felt like sticking his head in a fucking oven. Everton, Johnny Heitinga versus Aston Villa. Believe it or not, Johnny Heitinga was a World Cup finalist. Based on this game, you'd be forgiven for assuming he'd won his career in a goddamn raffle. February 2013, Everton 3, Aston Villa 3. This was embarrassing. Villa's first goal, Benteke brushes past Heitinga before sliding into the far corner, with the Dutchman showing all the upper body strength of a malnourished old woman. For the second goal, Gabriel Bonlower outjumps Heitinga in the air to nod in the second. Led, when you're getting outjumped by Gabriel Bonlower, a man who looks as though he spent every morning drowning his face in a bowl full of cheese puffs, like, seriously. And the third goal, Benteke nods in a Matt Lowton cross, with Heitinga trying to defend the airborne cross with a f***ing toe poke. Use your head. Like, if you did that in an under-11s game, you'd be kicked off the team. So I can only imagine what David Moyes wanted to do to him after the game. Like, was this fella out in the piss 6 hours beforehand? Had he spent the previous night sleeping in a skip outside Tesco? Had he been watching YouTube videos of Paul McShane on loop for the f***ing night? Like, this was just a pathetic performance.
Played worst game ever in the shirt of Everton. Let teammates and fans down, but they never let me down.
Yeah, you were pretty bad. Leicester City, Adi Akinbaye versus Liverpool. October 2001, Leicester won, Liverpool 4. Adi Akinbaye offered a blow-by-blow demonstration of how not to take your chances, trying his level best to blind the people in the crowd with his erratic rose-edge shooting. Liverpool, Steven Gerrard versus Man United. I could have gone for Jamie Carragher's 2 own goals against Manchester United in 1998, but no, instead you don't get much worse than this. Losing at home to Man United, you come on as a sub at halftime, and within 30 seconds, you're getting sent off for stamping on the opposition. Like, that man definitely didn't go for a shower. And I'm not just saying that because he's from Huyton. Like, that slip really did a number on Stevie G, didn't it? By this stage, he's just taken on the role of angry teenager, sick of getting bullied every week, and just ready to lash out on the first tibia he could find. Thank Christ nobody let him within 20 yards of a DJ. Man City, Javier Garrido versus Chelsea. So yeah, I've already chucked in a left back who was part of the 6-0 pounding between these two sides this season. Time to put a shoe on the other foot. October 2007, Chelsea 6, Man City 0 with Javier Garrido, proving that just because you're a Premier League defender, it doesn't mean you can actually defend. Christ above, the likes of Didier Drogba and Joe Cole used him as a napkin. Even Shevchenko was scoring in this game, like Christ above. Man United, Massimo Taibi versus Chelsea. One of the worst goalkeepers the Premier League has ever seen. One of Massimo Taibi's only games for the club came in a 5-0 drubbing at Stamford Bridge. That goalie wouldn't have caught an SED at Charlie Sheen's house. Newcastle, Casper versus Portsmouth. Think of the Newcastle fans. You work all week, punch a few horses, you're all hyped up for the footy at the weekend. Like, it's only Portsmouth, they haven't won at St James's since 1949. And then after 10 minutes you're 3-0 down. Tough Pompey at home. You have lads on 100k a week and you're getting played off the park by Benjani Marouari. It's like all those nerds pumped up for that Avengers movie. And then Wolverine dies before you've even started your popcorn. Anyway, yes, Casper was at fault for all 3 goals before being dragged off the pitch after 18 minutes. Before he could do any more damage.
If the truth was known, I should not have played against Portsmouth because I had a bit of hamstring trouble.
Yeah, who reckons that's a lot of bollocks then? Probably about as believable as Laurie's Carragher blaming his inability to catch a ball on a phantom concussion.
What is particularly annoying for me is the fact that I played against Bajani a lot of times in the past and I've always done well against him.
Lad, it's Benjani. Playing well against that man shouldn't be something you stick on the fridge. Managing to let that man score against you is like stabbing yourself to death with a spoon. Like, in a way, I'm kind of impressed. Norwich City, John Ruddy versus Man City. Norwich versus Man City is a fixture which once produced Elliot Smith's halftime team talk to the fans. That just resembled that of an elderly, drunk, forever alone bridesmaid who'd probably slash her nan's throat to catch the bouquet.
Where are you?
This enormous woman will devour us all! Ah!
But that game back in 2005 was a close affair, with Norwich tossing away a 2-goal lead. 8 years later, Man City have since injected themselves with a fine dose of financial steroids, and instead John Ruddy was watching 7 unanswered goals fly past him. For this one, Delia stayed in her seat. Sheffield United, Rob Kozluk versus Liverpool. How many of you actually remember this game? How many of you actually remember Rob Kozluk? Probably none, not even his kids. Liverpool 4, Sheffield United 0. With Robbie Fowler scoring 2 penalties. Neil Warnock probably spent that evening trying to track down the referee's home address. Right back Rob Kozluk, who looked about as much a Premier League player as I do a Chinaman, gave away one of the spot kicks before getting hauled off after 20 minutes. Southampton, Ali Dia versus Leeds. If you ever need a reason why Graham Souness has been kept far away from any managerial dugout, relegated to shouting at Paul Pogba from the comforts of his Sky Sports studio, just remember this is the same man who gave Ali Dia his debut. Apparently all you have to do to trick Souness into playing you is tell him that you're related to George Weah. It doesn't matter if you have all the ball control of a wet fish. He was subbed on against Leeds in November 1996. He was so bad that he got replaced himself before the end of the game. The worst player the Premier League has ever seen. I mean, I wouldn't even go as far as to call him a player. I know several postmen that would do a better job. Tottenham, Fazio versus Man City. This is the only debut in the list, and it was horrific. October 2014, Sergio Aguero scores 4 as Man City run out 4-1 winners over Spurs, with Federico Fazio capping a woeful defensive display with a red card. Watford, Troy Deeney versus Arsenal. This season, Troy Deeney lasted 11 minutes on the pitch against Arsenal, before getting sent off for elbowing someone in the back of the head. West Ham, Carl Jenkinson versus Bournemouth. This was a day to forget for Carl Jenkinson. Mind you, most days are a day to forget whenever he steps foot on a football pitch. This is one of the worst defensive Premier League displays of all time. But Christ lads, it's not even this fella's worst. He has sunk lower, like namely being part of a back four that conceded 8 in one game. Thank Christ AFTV wasn't around back then. Half the lads would have probably tried to nut the cameraman. But yeah, August 2015, West Ham lose 4-3 at home to Bournemouth, with Callum Wilson grabbing a hat-trick. Jenkinson gave away a penalty, was sent off, and all in all, looked every bit the horrendous defender that we all know and love. Wolves, Ronald Zubar versus West Brom. February 2012, Wolves 1, West Brom 5. Ronald Zubar allegedly played centre half. If Mick McCarthy had his way, he'd have probably packaged him on the first flight back to Guadeloupe. Although, to be honest, the entire team capitulated that day, allowing the likes of Peter Odom-Wingy to score a hat-trick. You remember him? He's the lad that parked outside football club in the desperate hope that they'll sign him. And big creepy Pete, it's a bit like standing outside a random girl's house until she gets desperate enough to let you in. Like, it might work with some aging spinsters, but it'll most likely get you a restraining order.